Okay, today we're talking normal distribution and we're working with a series of science scores that students did a test for, and these are their scores up across over here. What we're going to do is we're going to work out standard deviations. We're going to work out which scores lie within what standard deviation so we can start to develop and gain more clarity into how normal distribution works. We have a normal distribution curve right over here. As you can see, it's a bell curve. It's got a bell shape, and right in the middle right here is where we usually put the mean. That's where the average is for all the scores. Now, we have a mean, we have a standard deviation. We're going to be working with standard deviations. Now, we're going to take it in 3 simple steps in order to work out this question, but first, let me read it to you. We have a series of science test scores from students, and as you can see, they're up here, starting at 62 and ranging down to 49 over there. We have a mean of 52.8 and a standard deviation of 13.4. Now the question is, how many scores are more than one standard deviation from the mean? So let me just summarize that. We want to know how many scores are more than one standard deviation from the mean. We're not saying greater or above by one standard deviation. We say more than one standard deviation from the mean. That means from both sides, above and below, greater than one standard deviation. We're going to take it in 3 simple, straightforward steps. Number 1, we're going to write down the data of what we have. Number 2, we're going to label up here all the different standard deviations underneath. And step number 3, we're going to identify which of these scores lie within or without one standard deviation. But first, let me go through the different types of standard deviations. I know we're only working with one standard deviation today, but here it is. One standard deviation is 68%, 2 standard deviations is 95%, and 3 is 99.7. So we're working with one standard deviation, so we start off right here and we go one standard deviation above and one standard deviation below. So that's the horizontal distance, the standard deviations between above and below the mean. So let's start to write down first step number 1. What do we have? Well, we have a mean, and the mean score is equal to, some textbooks use a small letter of the Greek mu, and that means mean, and the mean is what? 52.8. That's the mean or average. Now we have a standard deviation, S, or sometimes written in Greek sigma, and that equals 13.4. That's the standard deviation, 13.4. So now all we have to do is label it up here. Let's label it up so we can get more clarity into how this is going to work. And then finally we'll identify which one. So let's label it up. First thing you do, take the mean, put it right in the central, right there, symmetry, right in the middle. That's our mean, 52.8. So let's put it in. Now we know the standard deviation is 13.4, so all we have to do is add 13.4 for each consecutive standard deviation and subtract 13.4 for each standard deviation. So let's put them all in regardless of what the question is asking. 13.4, let's add now. Here's the mean right there, x mean, central middle. Let's add 13.4. So 52.8 plus 13.4 gives us 66.2. Okay, 66.2 plus 13.4, that's going to give us 79.6. 79.6 plus another 13.4, that's going to give us a value of 93. Now we can subtract now. We're going to subtract one standard deviation at a time. So 52.8 subtract, take away 13.4. That's going to give us a value of 52.8 minus 13.4 is 39.4. Let's subtract another 13.4. We're going below again, another standard deviation. 39.4, take away 13.4. That's going to give us 26. Subtract another 13.4. That's going to give us a value of 12.6. Okay, we've labeled it. Now all we have to do is identify which of these scores fall falls within or without one standard deviation. What are we after? Well, score more than one standard deviation. So, more than one standard deviation from the mean. Here's the mean. One standard deviation is right there. So anything beyond that and beyond that is going to give us the scores we're after. So let me just mark that out for us. So one standard deviation to the right and to the left of the mean. Okay, we're looking for the scores that are more than one standard deviation. So all the scores that lie outside, here in beige and here in beige. We ignore the orange because that's within. So let's find all the scores that live here and here. So let's have a look here. Let's go through and start marking them. Well, the first one we have is 62. Where is 62? Well, 62 is going to be approximately in here. So that's within one standard deviation. So that stays. 53, let's have a look where 53 is. That's right there. Within one standard deviation, that stays. 47, 47 is somewhere in here. So that stays. That's within one standard deviation. 29, where's 29? Whoa, 29 is right here. That's 29. So 29 is approximately here. 29. So that's going to get rejected. Okay, so that's more than one standard deviation from the mean. 55, let's see where 55 is. 55 is there, that stays. We have 72. 72 is outside one standard deviation. 72 is approximately here. 72 approximately, there's our 72. Then the next score we have is 71. That's outside 66. That's more than 66. So 71 approximately there. 71. Okay, these two guys are outside one standard deviation. Let's continue. We have 52. 52 is right here, so that stays. That's within one standard deviation. 38, where's 38? 38 is below 39.4, one standard deviation, so that's outside. So let's put that in, 38. Okay, 38 is outside. And 49 finally, 49, where's that? 49 is somewhere in there, so that stays, that's within. So the question asks, how many scores are more than one standard deviation from the mean? How many scores? Well, we got 4 scores. We've got 29, 38, 71, and 72. Let me just summarize them again here. The 4 scores are 29, 38, 71, and 72. These scores are all more than one standard deviation from the mean. There you go. So all those scores are in there and over there. One greater than. So there you go. Hope that helps. See you in the next video.